Hey, welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. We are live in the studio. We always got to get the jokes before we start, man. We got to fit right in. I'm excited about today's show. I am really excited about today's show. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. I've been talking to her every time I go in there, and I didn't think she was going to do it because she was a little shy. But let's go around the table as usual, man. I'm Chris Senior. Welcome to another episode.
Devin Pender, just happy to be here, happy to be alive and on time today. I'm happy about that.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
2 in a row.
Well, don't count the week we were canceled, so we.
Justin Lamar, resident comedian on the show. Glad to be here.
Thank you, bro.
We got to share.
Yes, I do. Chris Jr., excited to have another episode of Above Average Black Man. And we have a great episode, entrepreneur. My hairstylist, shout out. I already said I'm a lifer just off the experience I had. But you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
You know how fellas be lying.
Hey, I'm Solange familiar. I'm just really happy to be here. I'm excited for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, I was like, so I had to ask you to be here because I said this off camera. I'm the guy that I used to crack jokes about. Because I grew up when they had the Jerry curls and the grease be on the back and everything, man. I'm like, how long did it take y'all to do that? And now I'm sitting here, man, like, man, my whole family goes to the salon. I don't know if that goes to suburbia or what, but it's like, we all go to the salon. But before we get into this, I got to say this. What won me was the customer service. Like, I've only had 3 barbers probably 4 in my entire life. And I changed barbers for 2 reasons. Either they die or the customer service just goes down the pit. Like my last barber I had, I'm not going to say any names, I make an appointment and I go there and he cutting his boy. I'm going at lunchtime. I drive all the way from Center City to get my hair cut and I'm going in there and he cutting his boy and he fopped through. That's why I make an appointment. And it kept happening. Or I go in there, man, and he's Zink talking about what happened last night. Zink, yo, dude, I gotta get out of here. Yeah, he like to cut him.
He sound like a terrible barber.
He was good. He just he there all day, so he tried to keep me all day. So your customer service, I was in and out. Because my wife was like, because I had a butch, if y'all remember. And my wife kept telling me I didn't have a style. She kept saying, you don't have a style. What's that? It's just like, oh. She was like, yeah.
Over.
Remember, I never knew that.
I was loving it. It was your fault, because you dared me to grow it.
I didn't do you to do anything. I said that. He was jealous and he couldn't do it. He's like, watch, I'm gonna grow it. And he just started growing this old school fro and not doing anything with it. Like,
so it's funny because when I comb it out, it's huge now. When I comb it out, when I come in, but the customer service, my wife was like, yo, you gotta come check this shop out. I go, and I'm a complainer. I'm like, I come there all day long. We looking at soap operas. I'm hearing everybody love life, man. I'm like, I don't want to hear all that stuff. She's like, nah, you gotta check it out. And this customer service was just, it was on.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was on it. And I've been telling everybody, my wife's in the mall. Last time we went to the mall, we were at the Afrocentric vendors in Willow Grove Mall, and it was all females. Who did your hair? So she was just like, I'm like, you should just bought a bunch of cars.
Yeah.
So now I just had to get the plug in, though. So let's go, guys. I know y'all been saving this.
No, it's a great plug, and I think that's great for this episode because we always talk about supporting black business. I'm all for supporting black business, but it gotta be good.
Yeah.
And all future guests, she bought us some.
She brought cookies too.
Y'all got a lot to beat now.
Yes.
I was gonna save that for the end. That was like one of the best parts. But again, like we talk a lot about supporting black business, and I think one part that gets missed is like it has to be good. And I think that's why we were just like excited to have you on. And kind of wanted to talk to you and find out more. I told you last time I've been holding off on asking you questions in the shop. So, but I want to know like where you from and like what made you? Did you always have this idea or thought like I'm going to start my salon or multiple salons?
No, that's not how this started at all. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, so I came here when I was 12 years old. My mom wanted us, the classic story of, go to college and everything like that. But once I got to high school, I originally wanted to be a therapist or a psychologist. But once I hit 11th grade and I started being an assistant at a hair salon, I just fell in love with it. I was naturally good at it, fell in love with it. The money was there, I could see it. It was like, all right. So once I was done with high school, I just said, if I'm going to do something for the rest of my life, it doesn't matter what anybody else wanted me to do. It was like, if I got to do this till I'm 65 or 70 years old, it might as well be something that I love. You know what I mean? So that's how I got into the field. I just went for it.
It has to be that, Mike, because everybody has said the same exact thing. That I'm not going to do what everybody's wanting me to do. Everybody sat in the chair said the same thing. So, but I got to say this, I've heard some of the conversations. You are a therapist. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. I've heard some of the conversations.
I mean, that's part of the job, probably.
I may act like I'm not paying attention, but I notice everything that goes on around me. So just, I'm like, okay.
So the entrepreneurial spirit, like, where did that come from?
Well, my mom is an entrepreneur. She has she owns daycares and has some properties and stuff. So it came from her. I saw her grind and do what she does. And it was just like, okay, if she can do that, she tried to get me to do the daycare thing. It was like, no, that's not me, but I could do my own thing in the same kind of, entrepreneurial kind of way. And so no, I didn't start off wanting to do or have a whole bunch of them, but it was my passion. And it was my passion to do here. And when you really love something, I feel like you go the extra mile, and that extra mile that you don't even realize you're doing is what opens up doors. I always like to say that somebody's always watching. The next person to open up a door for you is always watching. So as long as you stay diligent and focused on what you're doing and do it to the best of your ability in a spirit of excellence, you know what I mean? That door opens.
Yes.
Well, I'm like, Chris, as long as you keep getting me in and out of there, I'm like,
It's simple for us, man. Do my hair from this time to this time. I got to stick
because my new bar is the same way. And, Jimmy's a little different. He's more of a conversationist. But
Jimmy got
but he gets me in and out. He gets me in and out. If I call him, I call him up, I say, Jimmy, I need you to shake me up. What time you gonna be here? He's ready for me. I get and I'm done. Look, I even bought Girl Scout cookies. This is like a one-stop shop.
Oh, man.
I was like, look, man, you can't beat this. So I want to go a little more in it because it takes work to do what you're doing, and I think most people only see the finished product. I got into a conversation a couple of weeks ago because somebody said, hey, how you look like you just successful. I said, no, it's not easy. You don't see the sleepless nights, the nights you don't feel like getting out the bed. When you get that staff member that's just on another planet. So let's talk. So how did you, because now I'm assuming here, but you look successful now. I've been to both shops. They seem to run so smooth.
She got money.
But they seem to run
shiny,
smooth.
dog. That ain't pine on y'all cleaner. That's a different type of cleaner y'all using there.
But they seem to run smooth. So let's talk a little bit about that journey because startups are hard.
How did you start?
Yeah, startups are hard.
Oh yeah, it was hard, but it wasn't that hard. God's been good. Like I can really just say that He opened up the doors, and I just eased on into it. To be honest, I was a stylist at a salon with 7 other stylists, but I was working really hard, and one of my clients owned a bunch of buildings, and he just happened to have seen me. Him and his wife saw me working really hard and offered me a building. That's how I opened up my first salon. Just my client just offered me a place to work.
Tank, he did the same thing. We had a guest who almost similar situation. He was offered a building for an extremely low price to start a business.
But you were working in the spirit of excellence at the time.
In the spirit of excellence, there you go. Yeah, and going above and beyond. When everybody else wanted to go home and do stuff, it was just like, this is my time to grind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And stuff like that got me, well, I guess, they noticed me. So, and that opened up my first door.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long ago was that?
That was about 11 years ago. That was my first salon. I opened up my first salon with a business partner.
So you 12?
No.
You don't look that old.
You graduated from 4th grade.
I was one of them super smart kids. I was out at 16.
But I just wanted to know exactly what was that process like of opening that first store?
Oh, it was like talk about a faith walk and just stepping into that. That was like a faith step, I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but it was just like, hey, it's opened up. I'm going to give it a go. What's the worst that can happen, I always believe in living without regrets. At least trying. At least try. What's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean?
Right.
So give it a go. And it worked out.
So how was it, because look, nobody knows, I say it now, I cried when you first turned to profit. When you look at that check like, man,
Yes.
I'm making money now. I was like, look, I was shedding a tear. I was like,
Listen, that was...
I got zeros that I don't owe somebody.
That was awesome. Like, so usually they say when you first open a business, like you're usually in the red for like that first year or two. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't ever in the red. God was good. Literally, that's how I knew it was him. Like literally, I didn't open.
Is that the way the hair industry is though? Because
No, that's
I
not,
mean,
no.
yeah, it gonna make sense because you gotta pay for the space. But I don't know.
He just is like.
So really, so really, what happened was that I had been grinding.
It's very unusual to like not be in the red for no time.
No time.
Houseway.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's just crazy.
I got room here for a comedy club.
I know.
I can come in on weekends.
Yeah, it was just really crazy because I had been working so hard and I was just saving and just not knowing what was coming next, but just preparing for anything that can happen, right? And so when the opportunity happened, there was no need to be in the red. Once we opened up, clients just kept flooding to the point where there was no red. You know what I mean? If there was red, it was maybe for the first month.
So your reputation preceded you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
How did you? Let me give you that. Now, I know your mom was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So were you Solange, or were you more being your mom, like that got you that reputation? Like what got you your reputation? Because like what? I don't know. I know you say you're a hard worker, but what if people ain't got that built in? You know what I mean?
What other tangible things could you like
what was it? Yeah, like besides your hard work.
Besides the hard work. Nothing beats the work but the work.
But
I can't really,
expand upon, because you said it several times, the spirit of excellence. Expand upon that.
So I would always see it all stems from my childhood and seeing my mom and dad, raise us, and they always made sure they operated in a spirit of excellence. And so I always saw that, like always give your best, and what really drove me too was because I came here from somewhere else. It was like, okay, I had to give that extra just to be, I saw them in survival mode. So it was just like, no, I have to make sure that I prepare for the future and just, I saw them grind. So, you repeat what your foundation is. So it just came naturally,
I got another question, because when it comes to starting a business, especially I guess in the hair industry, it's a very competitive space. So, like, what were some of your thoughts, like, coming into opening up, like, how you wanted to stand out, how you wanted to be different? I know we talked a lot about professionalism, so was that, like, one of those things that was top tier and on your list?
So, opening up Solara Naturals, that's my second salon. Once I branched out and developed Solara Naturals, that was my main priority. Professionalism, customer service, cleanliness, timeliness. That was my main focus. So my first salon baby was my hard knocks. You learn as you go. You know what I mean? You figure it out as you go. But it was a blessing because I learned a lot. And so once I branched out on my own, it was like I made these things a priority because I realized it was missing in the salon world. It was just missing. The extra customer service, the cleanliness of a salon, you know what I mean? A place that clients can go and actually feel comfortable and feel good energy, So that was definitely something that was important to me.
And again, I feel comfortable going in there, especially, as a male. I've been going for years now, so I'm used to it. But I remember my first experience. I was about to say curse, but going there with my mom. You know what I mean? Like I had to have somebody else in there that I felt comfortable with. It's been situations where they don't care that it's like another male, or they talking just as if, it is what it is. So to see that and be a part of that is like, that's why we just applaud and love what you do.
But how does one navigate working in a field full of women? With all due respect. I mean all due respect. But you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. I do know what you're talking about. I haven't had that problem this go around. You know what I mean? I have been blessed with a good staff and a good team. And I just learned that in the beginning, if you have a group discussion and you understand and you have the same language and, the foundation is laid properly, it's easier to navigate, being with, because the clients are women. stylists are women.
Yeah.
It's just women everywhere. You know what I mean?
But
So as long as you know.
But even your staff, though, and you know, you kind of like Chris gonna get mad because I'm plugging other people. But it's kind of like the Chick-fil-A hair salon. You know, when I go to Chick-fil-A,
I was about to say that.
I'm always blown away by the customer service. I am. I'm always blown away by that.
Yeah.
So when I come in there, it's like, and I do, to Chris's point, I always feel comfortable. The first time I was like, man, I gotta go in here with a bunch of women, man. And, you know, and then my wife set me up because she didn't go the first time. Remember, I was kind of like on my own mission.
Right.
I'm like, you sent me in here, yeah. But I feel comfortable. But even when I listen and I watch the interaction with other staff, you know, they just really good. And I forgive me, I can't think of her name. I got to give her a shout out. The one who washes hair, Kennedy.
Kennedy, yes, Kennedy is awesome.
Yeah, that's my girl. Yeah, she's like, you know, I was like, oh man, I can get used to this. I can just never watch my now I'm feeling real bougie. Now I'm like, yo, I can just pay her extra.
It's funny because like to hear like we used to it's like, no, I mean I can't see myself in there. I'm like, yo,
when she hooking me up, I'm like, yo, this is all right, man. You know, all I need now is like the big screen up here, man. My little couple of
sports on in there.
I'm sleeping here. Yeah. But I just think that, but that speaks excellence about what you said, and Justin brought up a good point because that's hard to duplicate. Like a lot of people, we talk about it, but when it comes to, you know, making it applicable and actually coming out, it's like, yo, because I know a lot of businesses for the first week, man, they on fire. You go there week 2, it's over, man.
Yeah.
Remember you talking about, like I said, on name, they were playing the music, yeah.
So another question, I know you have, or what I've seen is you also kind of train young people who want to be stylists.
Yes.
So is that something that you also kind of always had a heart for? I mean, you kind of started like that yourself, or is that something that kind of once you got established, you figured you would do?
Yeah, once I got established, right before I opened up Solara Naturals, I went to get my teacher's license. And I more so did it for like my product line, so I will know how to teach and how to, you know, do it in a better, you know, in a way that everybody could understand. But once I went there, it's like I fell in love with teaching. The same passion that I had for doing hair and servicing people, I felt the same thing for teaching. So yeah, I have a full passion for that. And just showing them a different way to go, a different way to be, you know what I mean? You know, I feel like stylists sometimes have a different, you know, it's a stigma on how, you know, the field is and can be, you know, and I feel like it's important to, you know, show them a different way to be. There's a different way to win and get that bag.
It seems like you're empowering people here. That's what it.
Our podcast crew, our Podbean podcast actually like I'm getting hearts, all kind of stuff flying across the hair. So yeah.
Brought a woman in here one time. Look at this. Look at this. Yo, you there, yo.
Hey, what's up?
Money. Put your cash up with her. We about to get rich.
Some dude out there is feeling relieved now. Because he's probably like, I ain't the only one to go to the salon. I can be my toenail, yo, man. Who did you? I went to the salon, man.
Yeah, man.
Before you said, oh, my sister. You don't want everybody know you went to the salon. My wife
was being in the salon.
Yeah. But I just think, I mean, and I'm impressed because Chris had a good point. I see young people.
Yeah.
You know, I see young people in there. And like, you know, young lady does my wife's hair. I look at her, she's young, she's just professional, you know, she's always smiling. You know, she's always smiling, you know, and I gotta say this because you go to some, man, they dancing around, man. The language is worse than a barber shop, man. I'm waiting for my wife, like, I can't wait in this joint, man. I'm like, I gotta go outside. You know, and it's always the same, no matter when I go, it's always the same.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that, look, you hooked me up like 5 o'clock in the morning, like, you my hero.
5 o'clock in the morning.
I love the early hours.
Yeah, I
love the early hours.
Yeah, I'm early, man.
Booty call hours. 5 a.m.
Well, let me get this straight. My wife is with me. So you know, it's hair salon. We're about to get everybody in the show.
You ready to know about this?
I'm like, yo, that's perfect for me though, because I get in and out and I can still have the rest of my day.
That's above and beyond right there.
You know, yeah, it is. But I was laughing.
Girl, you would have had to wait till 8 with me.
But you were still smiling. I told me walked in, and Kennedy was too. And young people, look, that's young people, like they usually not functionary in the morning. And I said, you know, I look at my wife and said, yo, they both smiling like it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, it was 6 o'clock was the appointment, but I'm like, man, you know, they both smiling. And then, but it was people in there. I was number 3.
What's crazy is though, you go around to Popeyes and get a completely different customer service experience.
He's naming people.
You know, I'm saying Popeyes know what it is. They know what tip they be on. to wait 10 minutes to get to the front of the line just for them to tell me they had no chicken. Y'all couldn't announce that with this long line?
But you know what? That's why there's a certain KFCs I don't go to. Because if you in a store and you in a minority neighborhood, you got chicken on Sunday, you not supposed to be in business.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I ain't never going. How you run a chicken on Sunday afternoon and you in a black neighborhood? That shit, you should be like stripping your license. Yeah, you should be stripping.
Start a war out here in the streets. Somebody will get bodied. People get killed when it's hot out. You put a chicken on there.
Back to the business of it.
Chicken.
I got questions. I got more questions. I do got more questions. Go ahead.
Black History Month. Come on.
Right. Every show goes like this. I don't know if you watch it. We don't make it through one with a straight face. I had somebody real quick. I had somebody tell me they said they tune in because we only laugh to get all week. They like whenever I tune in, they said half the time I don't even know what y'all talking about.
I don't know how I feel about that. But I wanted to ask you about, I feel like you mentioned this, like everything has been so positive and a blessing. I wanted, not to say I just want to hear the bad things, but like what was a troublesome or like just a challenging time that you may have had, you know, within this process of kind of being an entrepreneur, or whether that's kind of working with young people and trying to teach, because I know we've worked with young people before, and sometimes that can be a little bit challenging or difficult. So, yeah, what challenges have you encountered? It's PGQ.
Okay. No, I mean, everything is great now. I gotta more so think about like troubles that I have had because
Yeah, you like
I'm good. I'm confident now.
That's
Life
hard.
is good right now.
That's pretty good if you gotta think that hard. Cause I can name like 10 right now.
Yeah, no. The biggest thing for me right now is more so balancing. I don't know. You know what I mean? Balancing.
Like life?
Life.
Like family?
Just, life. Work-life balance and self-care balance. That's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? Because I really do love what I do. So when you love what you do, you really do too much sometimes. So it's like balancing that. You know? It's a passion. It comes effortlessly. Sometimes you pick that over the thing that you really need to do. Like you really need to rest, sleep.
I'm doing hair at 5 a.m. Like,
No, I like the early hours. I like the early hours.
Don't mess me up because you don't want to.
7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's regular working hours. Right?
I'm up at 4:30 every day. So that's like the middle of the day for me. It's by the time 7 o'clock. Come on, man.
Right.
So what do you do to rejuvenate?
Good question.
What I do, well, 2022 has been going good so far with the balance and that, you know. So it's more so like just cut my day shorter, you know, go to the spa, you know, do things that I enjoy doing, listen to music, just do nothing.
What you listen to these days? What you twisting to?
No, here we go.
Me, it's a lot of gospel. It's Hillsong.
Hallelujah. This
You know.
Surrender.
Yeah.
You gotta try Maverick City.
I love Maverick City. Yes, I just had Gyra.
Yeah, I like Mercy. I like Mercy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty one. And wait on it. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We can take this conversation in a different direction.
You know, I'm just saying. Yes.
Yeah, Justin, you know, he go the other direction.
So that helps me rejuvenate though. It really does. It helps me rejuvenate.
So questions, more business related, hair related, because I feel like I'm still learning as I have my locks, you know. So, I mean, what's the difference when you're learning about hair? Like, because I hear people who say they can't do locks or like they can only do locks. Like, so is it that much of a drastic difference, like in what you had to learn or go through?
Oh, with locks, no. I feel like it's fairly easy, but that's probably because you do learn it in school. It's not a specific school for it, so it is something that you can get a certification for, you know, or just tutor under somebody. You know,
so when I go to Bahamas, I'm not gonna get off the plane and you're not gonna be doing something, getting the locks right there by the side.
Yeah, get that. I ain't been to the Bahamas like that.
They always braid the hair every time you go there. You got, you know, the Caucasians get the hair braided. Yeah, they on the side getting the hair.
Stand there, step into a random tattoo parlor. No, trust it.
You know what? I thought of something that was hard to learn. Hard to learn. That was something hard to learn early on was managing finances in this industry.
I still need help.
Yeah, managing finances in this industry. Only because, especially even just being an entrepreneur, to be honest, because, you know, it's not like you are getting paid through a big corporation. The money comes directly to you, so you have to learn good stewardship. Like, you got to be able to manage, and
because it starts flowing, you want to spend
it starts flowing. You know what I mean? If you don't have
careful.
good, right, there you go. You got to be able to put things where they need to go and do that correctly.
So were these things that you like just learned on the fly, or did you have like a mentor or somebody, kind of a partner that was giving you?
Actually, one of my best friends, the one who made the cookies.
These are homemade.
Homemade. Random plug, Simply Maconda. Yes, she was really good at that, at finances. I wasn't really sure how to. I wasn't really sure on how to manage finances and all that kind of stuff. So she taught me about credit and managing my money well.
That's awesome.
And I learned that young. So I learned that. So she learned it, and then once she was into
it's like a transferable skill.
There you go.
Is she listening?
I think so.
They distracted by the cookies. They about to tear it
Oh,
up.
yeah, it's good.
I made a mistake. So you know what? I made a mistake, and I picked the box up, and they smell so good. It's like, so all of a sudden,
she just made them.
so I was trying to fake it, like I was looking at the label, like, man, these things smell really good. I was like, but I'm not gonna be rude.
I should have put them out there.
Moist.
But we gotta get on the show. But you just made my wife very happy because she said, she she just worked so hard. And, she get there, she stayed there late, and I asked her, what did she do for self? So you just made her very happy.
She did ask me that question. Yeah,
so she gonna be getting brownie points for that one, man. So I gotta laugh because I told her, I said, and it's back to because you're so quiet in the shop. So
She said you was quiet in the shop.
I said, I knew you probably laughed real hard too.
I said, since when?
She did.
I did. All right.
When I told my wife, she said, y'all ready? I said, we ready. So she said, well, you should ask. I said, no, we got questions. I said, my only concern is she never says anything. So I said that she's gonna be one of them guests that every time we ask her a question, we get a one-word answer. So I'm so glad that's not it.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
No,
but I am quiet. This is just my show for side. In real life, I am quiet.
I got one, but I can go ahead.
That's not what just told me. But okay.
So I had a question because you mentioned that you also have a product that you sell as well.
Yep.
So can you tell us more about that? Because I don't think I've purchased that yet. I just came and pretty much got my hair done. I've seen some of those things, but sometimes when it comes to that, I'm like, I don't want to be smelling too fruity.
No.
But definitely, can you tell us a little bit about the product? And he was excited, so I'm guessing it's not.
Sure.
It's not like he was
wonderful. Hold on, y'all.
Because that's my next plug before you tell us about it. Because because my hair has never in the wintertime been this long. This is kind of my first run at it, so it gets dry. Because I had the old #1, so I would just wash it every day and just put the towel on, and I was done.
Right.
So now it's dry. So I was using some other stuff. I was using black castor oil, and I was mixing it with water. And I was using it, so my wife, she bought it, and she was like, use this. So it was like, man, this is like gold, man. I spray it, man, it just stays moist, I don't have to worry about it.
I gotta get that.
And the smells, it's not a fruity smell either. It feels fresh. It smells fresh. I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
But I squirted it, so, she's probably going to know now, because by the time she gets it, it's like only like a third of a bottle left, so I got to buy some, but I love it.
Y'all already
Good.
Yeah, so tell us about how you came
Yeah,
up with
natural
Chemistry too?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh my
Little
goodness!
A little something.
You're a chemist or you're a label slapper? You ain't like
No, I don't do a label
slapper. I'm only kidding.
No, I know what
slap
you're talking about, but no.
I don't slap no labels in.
No, I'm in the kitchen mixing and measuring.
Oh, cool.
Listen to Hillside.
Listen to Hillside. Seriously, listen to Hillside.
You don't know about no Hillside.
Yeah, no.
Sounded real good though.
That's how the name Solara Natural Hair, that's how the salon came into play, because the product line came first.
Oh, okay.
And from that, it was like, okay, well, I want to move on and brand an entire salon and the product line at the same time, instead of it being two separate entities. You know what I mean? But I really it was a good outlet. So it started off as a hobby. My daughter and my son, they both have eczema, so I started off making shea butters, different kinds of shea butters.
Oh, you have shea butters too?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
So I
you about to
started
be a
off.
plug.
Yeah, so I started off doing
I
that.
know I'm sounding real bougie now. my kids in my program be watching. Oh yeah, that's why you
Excited.
do think you better than everybody else.
Yes, I started off doing that, and then from there, seeing my clients' issues with their scalps and some of the products that I was using from the store. You know, I had different things that they were allergic to that wasn't necessarily beneficial to them. The parabens, all the fragrances and stuff. So it was like, okay, let me start making stuff. So I started making different things, and yeah, just kept on going, and it was therapeutic for me to do it. So I enjoyed doing it. You know, so
you still do it?
So I still do it.
Man,
so that's a way that I unwind as well. Is making them.
How many bottles do you kick out?
Yeah, as I say, so you're doing this.
That's I'm
Yeah, I do it by hand.
Because you wouldn't know that because the bottles are nicely packaged. You know, they are. I thought it was a professional bottle.
It is a professional bottle.
Because they like, you know, they got the nice color brown, so it kind of catches your eye. You know, and I got my marketing hat on, and it has but it does, and it has a different color label, so you only, you know, like if you look, you almost got to pick it up.
Yeah.
You know, because you want to see what it is. Yeah, and it's a great product.
Thank you.
How long does it take to make?
It takes a while. But time just seems to fly because I enjoy it.
You keep saying
I
it.
don't know.
How do you find time to do all this?
I know. I don't believe in doing anything that's not organic. That doesn't come organically. You get what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't feel forced. It should literally come naturally. So it comes naturally. So really, time just flies. I pick a day.
You give me major Jill
and I
Scott
just
energy right now. I feel Jill, the spirit of Jill all over me.
She just bubbly energetic, like it's like a 12-hour day. She's melting and just is like, yo.
Yeah. So time just go. You know, I can pick a day during the week and
A
just
day?
do it.
What's your mixing day?
One day. Tuesdays. It's usually Tuesdays.
Look it up.
So you making this stuff every week, like you just new batching it up like that. So what are your long-term goals, like for your business or with the product? Like, are you looking to kind of make this large? Because one problem I see kind of with the products that are out there, like you mentioned the castor oil, some of that stuff is drying our scalps out. Like, it has all this stuff in there that we don't know what it is, but we just putting it in there, making our hair pretty much worse. So, like, do you have goals to kind of make this a larger?
I do. I have general goals on how I want it to grow and be nothing in stone. I'm more so of a just keep doing what you're doing every day, and we'll see what doors open up and go. You know what I mean? Broad, you know. In the next 5 years, it would be great to see it in Target, to see it in hair stores, you know.
Amazon.
We gotta help you
to see it, you know.
Because it was funny before you came in. We were just talking about launching an online store. We were just talking about it. Like, I was doing research.
Just start plugging other people's
So yeah, we were just talking about, you know, because actually I already set the count up and everything. So we didn't realize we would have this conversation. But that's something we talked. But I got to go back and I'm impressed because I know this is going to sound a little wacky, but because the first time you did my hair, you know, it was, and I know the jokes only come from this side of the table. It didn't stay because it was too soft. Hush.
I got good hair.
But you, I know. But you were like, try this and it lasts longer. Because the first time it did, because you said not was pretty, you know, because most people like not going to tell you that because they want you to come back in 2 weeks. They don't want you to be coming back. So now I was really impressed by that. You said, yo, try this and it lasts long. And it's, you know.
I asked that or brought that up too, because another thing, getting your hair done or going to the barbershop, you see the Asian guy coming in there hustling, selling his stuff, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So like that's why I really was kind of asking and seeing if you probably had goals to like partner with other people or like get Justin to go in some of the other stores.
Sure can. Yes.
Yeah,
I'll push your product. I'll be on the street with it.
Okay, I'm with it. I'm here for it.
What you need. I
to
got
that
you.
note,
I'm bring a different element to you.
To that note, I'm happy. You know, I can sit there and nobody trying to sell me something. That's the thing. The barbershop man do come in with DVDs and bootlegs. I'm talking about a dude going, yo, I got the movie.
What's the product called?
Oh yeah, Solara Natural.
Solara Natural. That's a brand name. I stand by it.
I just think it's cool. And then you just, you know, man, you just. You know, you talking about being diversified. You make this stuff yourself. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like more because, or like best, you're teaching young people. Yeah. Because people are watching you. Because I know when I work with young kids and they say they want to be a cosmetologist, they don't understand when you work for somebody, you got to pay rent for the chair. You know, you got to pay for this, pay for that. So you got to really hustle just to make a little bit of money.
You have to hustle.
And people, and we talked about this stuff today. A lot of times, you know, you're not really happy because somebody's getting rich and you just kind of You know, so I think it's so cool that you decided not only step out on faith, but you're at least giving people an opportunity to see what that looks like.
Right.
And that's what
I am passionate about that.
Yeah, has anybody like started a business from like kind of coming under your wing, or like branched out and done other things?
Solara Naturals has only been in existence for 5 years. That's the product line, and the salon for 3 years. So the staff that started with me, they're still with me for now, but I'm sure they're going to be going on and doing great things.
Right.
They're going to, and I look forward to it. You know what I mean? To get them to the point where that's what they want to do.
So you're gonna have a whole garden.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I would love to see it.
But I always say this,
Yeah.
you know, my wife, I says this to her all the time. I think when you allow the blessings to flow to you and through you,
That right there.
you know,
Yeah.
you know, God takes care of you.
Yeah.
You know, and He does. When you allow Him to flow to you and through you. See, most of us, our hand, my grandma say this all the time, your hand closed so tight you can't receive anything else.
Yeah.
So, but I think, and as a people, we don't get that. You know, I'm not going to share my resources with Justin. I'm not going to let Chris know because I'm so afraid they're going to get ahead of me, but I'm cutting my own throat.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's so cool when you know, throw to you and through. You can use that one in your jokes. I wouldn't
Two
charge
and
you.
two.
You know, since you like my
Brothers always
saying.
think about the money.
That's why y'all keep pushing this stuff.
I don't know if it works. You gotta tell it if it works, then we can talk about the prices.
Yeah.
Nah, but I think that's another thing that we don't. That's not and what intriguing is that's not the typical model you see.
Right.
You know, most people want to keep people working for them. And I always say this, I do a lot of workshops on leadership. The true measure of effective leadership is how well you influence somebody, not just because you have a title. You know, and somebody tried to throw me a curveball the other day. They said, because I always say you want to influence, not impress. It's like, what's the difference? And I told them, when you impress somebody, it doesn't last. When you influence somebody, they want to take on those characteristics. That's legacy.
Right
That's
there.
the difference.
Yep.
That's the difference.
Yep. That's legacy. Yep. That's exactly how I feel. Blessed to be a blessing. You know what I mean? You don't want it to stop with you. It's literally supposed to flow through you. And that is the model.
It becomes generational.
Yeah. And that leaves a legacy.
That's how you get more than enough.
Exactly.
You know, an abundant life.
Exactly. And that's exactly how my business model is.
That's why we listen to hillside music. Now I'm only kidding.
We missing all that.
That's what you missing. You got it.
All right, so
People be Googling that now, Hillsong.
I'm gonna get vulnerable real quick, right? So I had a lot of jobs, right?
Right.
A lot of different jobs. One of them jobs that I thought I was gonna get was be a barber. So I started looking for barber schools, right? So I'm calling around, calling different barber schools. I was like, Empire, they probably got barber programs. So I called them, right? Not knowing that that's not a barber. I know.
You said
Right? So I'm talking to the lady. I was like, yeah. So y'all got like barber programs? She's like, no. I was like, but you can teach me how to do like something, right? She's like, we got barber program, but it's more like for like nails, lashes, extensions. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, what's that? Like, I'm willing to explore anything. I'm not worried about what other people think of me, our community. I mean, I got nose rings, so I don't care if you think I'm gay. Right? We both got the same joint. Where you go to, Lisa? Anyway. so like, after talking to her, like, I got all the information because I was just doing my research. Like, I was just being efficient. Like, if I called you, I'm going to make the call work. At the end of the call, she was like, I just want to ask you, are you gay? And I was like, no. Well, I mean, I know why you think that, but no, like I'm just looking for new business ventures. What would you say to the heterosexual male that want to do some her?
That ain't even legal, by the way. You know that, right?
What?
That's not even legal.
Put on
That
that
shit is gay.
discriminating against you
What?
to ask like that.
That's
Well,
what
people
people
do.
do.
It's not about them denying. She wasn't going to deny me.
Yeah.
She was just having an
The
honest.
stigma
She just had an
that
honest
she
moment, like
assumed, like, yo, he gotta be
like
on the other team.
like yeah. For guys, have you seen more guys starting to flow?
I have.
That's what I'm saying.
I have.
But like straight dudes.
Straight. Yeah.
And how is that? Has that made the industry better or worse? What you think?
I feel like it makes it great because it blazes a trail for every other young man that wants to explore the field of cosmetology, because men can do hair just as well as women can do
I'm
hair.
seeing dudes
I've
who,
seen men stylists and female stylists.
Yeah,
Male and female.
Dudes in jail be fresh.
Oh my god.
You sit right between somebody
He wouldn't say that. Anyway.
Strong hands.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, but I just think, because it's kind of ironic, though, and that's a good point. Because
No,
those
serious.
are stigmas that people just put on professions.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't really stop to think about it. Like, I remember when female barbers with people like, you want a female barber. But the female barbers, you know, they popping up,
Yeah, and you see female barbers, like, yeah.
And that was actually kind of like you said, there is that stigma there, but Instagram, you see different things. Like I saw a dude, he like making money because he can actually braid the guy's hair, then cut him right after.
Yeah.
And we gotta go to 2 different places.
Yeah, like you gotta go to 2 different places for that. So it's like, it's weird that it's kind of a stigma around it, but like if you start looking at it as it's a business opportunity.
It is.
That's how I always look at it. Like if I could be a barber, a hair, nail,
people always getting that stuff done.
Yeah. Always be rich.
Barber school for you.
Yeah.
Where Jimmy cuts our hair as a barber school.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he's getting his license to teach, but there's other people that teach now. Yeah.
No, because I do love that. And it's funny you said, you know, one of your passions is to be a psychologist. My homie,
I majored in psychology.
He majored in psychology. I've always been interested in psychology. If I went back, I would have definitely got my degree in that. But, you know, you don't always follow that exact dream, but you end up in something that's very close to it. And obviously, like, people open up, I just saw my therapist today. Sometimes I open up more to my barber than I do my therapist, you know what I'm saying? I tell my barber anything. Therapist, I'm like, yo, this is sober, like, you know, I don't do that, because I like to get my money's worth, like I told you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I tell them all the same thing, like, help me. But do you ever miss that path? Like, do you ever feel like you would miss that path?
Not at all.
Or have a desire to, because you get different passions, right? But I guess it's all related around hair care and
hair care. Yeah, but hair
it's
care,
like deeper than that though.
It's deeper than that for me. Like, you know, I feel like I do a little bit of therapy anyway. You know what I mean? Talking to my clients and being there for them on their happy days, sad days, blah days. I feel like, you know, I'm there for them. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like, and I love what I do. So it really feels like I'm connecting with my clients. Yeah, I'm connecting with them. I'm connecting with clients.
But I touched on that earlier. I was there when it was a Saturday. I was there, and it was a lady sitting there, and I don't get too much details because she may be listening. But I just remember her saying, I remember you asking her how she's doing. She said, oh, it hasn't been a good week, and she was saying, you know, and you started talking to her, and then she said, yeah, but I look good, to your point. And then you just exchanged, and then all of a sudden she went from, you know, she was smiling, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, and it wasn't a long exchange. Yeah, she did. But that's pretty cool when you can get that. Yeah. You know, without somebody lecturing you, making you feel bad, or even asking you what's going on. It was just a simple exchange, and that's important.
Yeah.
You know, that's so important.
Yeah.
Question: 5 to 10 years from now, what does your business look like?
5 to 10 years from now, my business is a franchise. Other people, you know, franchising and duplicating the same model so that we could spread the message of togetherness, wholeness, health, balance, and, you know, helping the community through beauty and hair. You know what I mean?
Would you be the first to have a franchise? Because it's funny.
I don't know.
Well, it's funny you
I have no idea.
It's funny. Well, I've never seen it before, but I saw it today because I've been looking into a lot of investments because of Chris, and somebody sent me something. Floyd's Barbershop. I never paid. It's one out there in Willow Grove Mall. I don't really pay much attention to, but they're franchising now. And I've never seen a barbershop. That's why I asked you, would you be the first one? Yeah. I've never seen it before that somebody says I'm a franchise my barbershop.
I guess Supercuts would be.
No, it's a franchise.
Wait, we talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about. I know. And Supercuts is kind of like generic. She's like a specialty.
I know a barber that / salon owner that does it up in Langhorne, but.
Oh, he's franchised? And I just
never
heard
I don't think he's franchised, but he may be doing, he's on the same path you are. But y'all both deliver a high quality of service, a different experience than people are than we used to getting going to a salon. I've had multiple different stylists with multiple different problems. Like that. Problems. So that's why I left. You know what I mean? It's only been so long you're going to deal with it. But like to provide that for people is second to none for that's what we're looking for.
So how many locations, you know, ultimately do you see yourself having? Yeah.
As many as, you know, franchises you can franchise. However, the sky is the limit. Yeah.
You know, there's more McDonald's than churches in this country. Ain't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That's insane.
Wow. They got to be pretty close though.
Now they're closing. Now they're closing. They're actually at one point there were more McDonald's. That's how fast it grew.
Wow.
Oh,
you know, and you got to figure Ray Kroc started with a hamburger stand.
See?
So they started with a hamburger stand, man. So you can do it, and that's what makes it unique about yours is because you got. I mean, I don't know many people who make their own product and sell it. And then sell it in their business establishment that supports what they make. Typically, somebody is developing something to sell to Justin or to sell, and that's pretty cool to kind of make your own stuff and then use your own stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty amazing. I'm impressed by that.
I want to see it happen, like just because we need it. Like the hair care industry is dominated by people that don't look like us. You know, we spending tons of money.
But look who's having the conversation. And I don't mean that sarcastically. You got a bunch of guys sitting around talking about. So that's how far. But that's what I meant. That's how far the industry has come. Yeah. It's just my point. I wasn't saying it in the sarcastic.
I'm just saying we need to be the makers, and I'm all about supporting, like, the products. Like I said, I haven't purchased it yet, but next time I'm in there, show it to me.
But I see a bunch of dudes in there too. I see a bunch of dudes in there. Like I'm like So I don't have to be macho, man. Before you gotta be macho when you walk in there. Like if somebody see you, gotta kind of have no swag when you go in there. That's how I be. Then I was like, who cares? There's other dudes in this one.
I was gonna say, how do you tame your male clients? You have any male clients get out of hand? Get out of hand.
The way you made that face, she's like, it happened. Like,
I know it happened.
No, you just be professional. You just be professional.
That's your job. It's not their job. They go in there to kill what they do.
No, as long as you're professional, you just stick to the professional.
No, you are very professional. So anytime you hear the band, it's like, well, that's wonderful. So your scalp is really dry when you like that. You just change to the hair.
Yeah.
And my wife can take.
But you got used to curving man your whole life. Like y'all born with that, right? You have to learn very young.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like people touching me. Wife would take. I don't play that touching me stuff, man. That's always been my pet peeve, man. People
so now the hair thing is like.
That ain't my thing. No, but I think because I feel comfortable. But I just don't like people. That's never been my thing, man.
Yeah.
It took me so long. When I was playing ball in college, man, look, I ain't even want the trio. Dude, come on, man. What you rubbing on me, man? Give me that stuff. Give me that stuff.
Like you posted up.
Yeah, I got my tier motors here, man. You ain't even playing.
Let's score Pender Senior. Post them up. He'll move right out your way.
I'm like, you ain't even playing these tapping people on the butt. Like you running on
a personal note, do you have any siblings? Did you grow up by yourself?
No, I do have siblings. I have 2 siblings. I have a younger sister and an older sister.
So are they also in the entrepreneurial world, or they work with you? They went a different route, like.
We're all creatives in different ways. My younger sister, she does help me behind the scenes.
Okay.
What's her creative talent?
She does great at decorating. All things decorating.
Did she do the new shop?
No, but she helped style our photo shoots and stuff like that. So
that was a super dope photo.
Yeah, man. I looked at the photo. I was like, wow, that was.
Oh yeah. One of my stylists actually, she did that. She's super creative. She did the makeup. She actually styled that shoot and styled me, and she did everything. Makeup, hair, and photos. So they're really talented.
When did you do the shoot? When did you do the shoot? Because that's a new shop.
I did it on Sunday.
I was bringing pics. You got the first drop.
You got the first drop.
I was, my ego was all being shook. She did this for the show. She did it just for us.
Big time.
Don't mess it up. Let your brother dream.
So during these COVID times, how did you adjust?
How did that impact your business?
Oh. That was different.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a trying time. Because I started off with one salon and then we outgrew it. So I got the second salon. The second salon opened up February 2020. In March it closed down. Wow. So, I didn't get a chance to get anything back or anything. We just had to close down, So that was rough. But I must say, God is good. He is my provider because I was a little nervous. But we made it through, and we made it through with ease, and it was still one of the best years that the salon had. I was panicking for a while there. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
It's not too
but no, it worked out good. It worked out okay, but it was a struggle. But they had grants and all that stuff, and that. But it was it was hard to get those too. But.
Did you have any? I'm sorry. Did you have any feelings around, you know, being a small business owner at that time, and then watching places like Walmart or Target, or did you have any feelings about that, or did you agree with what the government did?
No. I just felt like they were bigger. They could take a hit more than the small businesses.
Absolutely.
And what really made me feel some type of way was the fact that when I went to apply for things, they were saying, "Oh, we ran out of this, we ran out of this money, ran out of that money. The only thing they want to give you is loans." I really wasn't feeling going in even more time. Just you know what I mean, to do that. So it was just like, so yeah, I felt some type of way about it. You know, what you gonna do? You know, I just literally put my faith in God, and He literally provided above and beyond what I
That seems to be
expected.
So let's talk about that, because you know a lot of people talk about faith.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, you know, I do a call with men on Monday. So if you're listening, I'm not talking about you. And we got into this discussion about you know, because sometimes in the church we think all we have to do is pray.
No.
You know, we do, and I hear it all the time. Somebody says, Justice says, "Look, man, I'm hurting, I'm starving. I'll pray for you." And I'm like, "Yo, wait a minute. You know, we have the resources." My question back to them, well, if you have faith in God, why aren't you helping people? Because if you really trust God, then you know God put people in front of you for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you really love God, then you have to love your neighbor, so to speak. But that's so. And what I found is a lot of people, and I know I'm gonna get texts and emails for this. You know, I got faith, but I only got faith when the good stuff is happening to me. You know what I mean? You know, and I'm not gonna mess my good stuff up by helping you. So I think. So how did you balance that? Because in business, I know there's a bunch of people. Like I know people soon get successful. They always want to get money. They always want the handout. You know. So how do you balance that? You know, and again, it's easy to have faith when all your bills are paid. You know, my dad used to always say, but when you know you ain't paid the light bill, and you come home, you hit that switch, you just hope it come on. That's faith.
Yeah.
So how did you balance that and all the things I just said? Because you know Christians struggle with that.
Yeah. I do believe faith without works is dead. So, you know, you have the faith, yes, but you got to do the work too. Like, you know, I feel like you do what you can do, and you'll feel whatever you can't do. So with that, I just started thinking like, so it was a struggle. I had the faith, but it was just like, okay, so what can I do? I can't be in the salon. I can't do this. So what can I do? What I ended up doing around that time was I wasn't online. I wasn't selling or mailing out my products in that way. That did give me the time to sit down and say, okay, how can we do this? I started perfecting my packaging. You know what I mean? Right. Started selling on Amazon, started selling on Etsy, and it was just like, oh wow, okay, this gave me the time to do that. You know what I mean? So it was just like, okay. And by the time all that happened, it was just like, okay, then the business slowly was able to open back up and, you know, and do like that. It's all about perspective, I feel. You know what I mean? It's all about perspective. I felt anxious, but it was just like, don't be anxious. Just have faith and just, you know, take this time. This time is given to you for a reason. So let's figure out what it's for.
Because it's easier to say, you know, I can have a perspective of something, but it takes patience to say, okay, I'm going to trust God.
Yes.
You know, because your eyes are telling you one thing.
It's telling you something completely different.
Yeah, you know, when you start getting them funny color envelopes start coming to the house in different colors, it's telling you one thing, and everybody can wait. And that's my next question, because most people start to force stuff and they start to do stuff outside of what God has set them up, and that's when they fail. You know, like if God says this is what you're supposed to do, and all of a sudden you're trying to sell noodles, you know, it kind of conflicts with what God said on your heart. So how did you handle it? How did you stay the course?
I literally just stayed prayed up. I just prayed a lot.
When did
I literally prayed a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, God.
When did you find your faith? Like, when did you wasn't born like this, was you?
I was. My mom is a pastor, so.
Oh, so you ain't had no choice. No. When we talk about God, and I'm sure we talk about it real. Like, not everybody has the same understanding of God.
Yeah.
Even people that go to the same church.
Yeah.
So, how, like, you know, to apply it, it looks different for everybody, or, you know, what somebody may see as a sign, other may see as a coincidence. And that's why I was wondering, like, you know, like, I do see a correlation, like Chris said, between people's strong faith and them providing for themselves. But like you said, God is my provider. But like I said, I wonder for people who have a different understanding, like, I asked really more personally for myself, like, when did you know that God was real for you and he said this is what you're supposed to do and stuff like that. But you said you've always had it.
I've always had it, but I did have my coming to moment when I was about 23 years old.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I had a moment when I was 23 years old, and at that moment, I'm from another country.
Yeah.
I'm being real and transparent, right?
Please.
Okay. I was 23 years old. I had a daughter. It was like, okay, I was in church one day. They were saying anybody who doesn't have a house, stand up. I said, okay, I'll be obedient. I'll stand up, but there's no way I can get a house. There's no way legally I can get a house at this moment, right? But I'm going to stand up in obedience. Pastor walked around and prayed. I was like, all right, I'm here. Okay, God, if you're going to show up, right? You know.
That's the attitude I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When'd you lose that? What's that? You want me to keep pushing the song? Okay.
Getting heavy.
It's heavy, Lord. I'm sorry.
I was 23, and within less than 6 months, I got a house. And I had no idea how. He did it in the most roundabout way. That it was to the point where it was just like, he is my provider, and he provided in such a crazy way. There was literally no legal way that I should have been able to get a house, and he went in such a roundabout way to get this house to me. It was just like, oh wow, okay.
It's called surrender.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of people don't maximize their potential in Christ. This is why most people don't understand what it is to really have an abundant life. In order to have it, you have to surrender. You know, like my phrase for 2022 is get out of the boat. And every year I come up with a phrase in Matthew 14:29. Peter's like, yo, you know, Jesus walking on the water, Peter's in the boat with the disciples, and Peter was like, yeah, if that's you, can I come to you? And my whole point about that is those other dudes didn't get out the boat.
They did not.
They would rather die in the storm because they trusted their comfort zone. And the metaphor is that's why most of us struggle, because we stay in the boat. We don't get out of the boat. We stay in our comfort zone no matter how bad it is, no matter how jacked up it is. We stay in our comfort zone. You know, and surrender means that I don't know what's going to happen. That's real faith. When I step out this boat, I don't know what's going to happen. But as long as I'm walking towards Jesus, I'm going to be okay. Yeah. And I think that's when somebody asks me, well, you know, because my wife and I were talking about it today. My past is not added to where I am now. There's people with 3 times my credentials who don't have a third of what I have. You know, and I'm not saying this in a sarcastic way. Who's not as smart as I am, but they got all these degrees and they're struggling. You know, God has blessed me to navigate through. I made more money during the pandemic than I did, you know, before the pandemic. You know, I have stuff now. I got to turn stuff down because people are calling me, and that's just because when you get to that point when you surrender, He does. And most of us, especially as men, we struggle with that because I trust you, God, but I'm gonna do this myself. You know, I got this part. So that's the part, and I heard you say it, when you let go, okay, God, I'm just going to stand up and be obedient, that's the part, that's what we have to get to. Yeah. That's what we have to
What if your boat got benefits and coffee and tea?
That's cool. But you know what? But if you believe God is leading you in a different direction, His benefits are going to be better.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's just, and I'm not saying, it's hard when you, especially if you got family, different things, you know, and you know, I tell the same story. I remember when I started my janitorial company with a mop and a bucket. Everybody laughed. Everybody thought it was the funniest thing in the world. People were laughing at me, you know, family were laughing at me, man. All black people, all they want to clean for a living. When I shut it down, I had about 23 people work for. I was doing 300,000 square feet. You know, some of them same people I was signing their paycheck. When I started my nonprofit down, that's not even a real job. That's what people were saying to me. That's not even a real job. Why you want to do that thing? Listen, I'm doing okay. So I think, you know, you just have to, when you understand that it's God, you know, to me, it's not even a risk. It's faith. You know, like, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everybody I meet, God put in front of me. Now, I have to use my discernment, you know, to see how this relationship goes. But I do. I don't believe in chance. Like, just look at you. We how many years ago playing basketball in Glenside? I mean, and now look at the relationship.
Cooking you in that little
right.
And now look at that, you know. So, I mean, you know, and I remember I just saw your dad. You know, and it was funny. I don't know if he tell you the story. We were at Millersville, and he was frustrated. You know, he was frustrated. He was trying to leave, and I was trying to catch him, and he couldn't get out because he went the wrong way. The door was locked. So we kind of end up talking. So it's just those little things that I just believe God orchestrates.
God locked the door real quick.
They got
I just playing.
but you know, sometimes he turned the wrong way, and I think the hardest part is just saying I trust.
Is that how I got to Mansfield though?
No, I'm just saying we started having the conversation. He was asking me about it. I was like, yo, because Chris didn't want to go to man. The first time Chris went to Mansfield on the trip, man, he came back and said, ain't no way I'm going. Let's go. He said, it was snowing. He was walking. He sounded like my dad. He said, Dad, everywhere we went was uphill. But I say that but little did we know that, this is real quick, that story. I'm sitting at a basketball game. Chris's Suburban wanted to play in the basketball game, and I'm sitting there, and the coach from Mr. Hicken, we kind of became cool. We're just having a conversation. And he says, where's Chris going? And I said, I'm not going to mention the school. He said, no, he's better than that. Let me make a phone call. This is during a basketball game. He made the phone call. Next week, Chris was up there, working out. And then before the guy was like, yo, I don't usually do this, the coach that was there said, I'm going to South Carolina. He told, I don't know if your coach ever told you that, he told Chris's coach, like, yo, if you don't take him, I'm taking him with me. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we went to lunch. He said, look, I can't let you leave here without signing. I think that's how God orchestrates stuff. Had I not ran into Kyle at that game, and you know how I met Kyle? We coached against each other in the summer league. Mm-hmm. So to me, those things get orchestrated just like that. So I think we just have to trust to say, okay, I'll surrender. And it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. But I think that's the step that and I don't turn this into a church thing. I think God is waiting for us to take that
call back at the end of the show. God orchestrated that.
But somebody like, yeah, he might be that. But yeah.
But no, I mean, we might as well go ahead and give our close. No, it's a wrap. I think it was actually a great conversation. No, and we were excited. Nah, I'm sorry. I feel like I made my dad feel bad.
You never make me feel bad.
No, I take it back. He was talking too much.
That's my wheelhouse.
But no, I was excited to have you on. Like I said, we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. And I mean, I'm a lifer. I feel like one key takeaway here that I've got from you is perception. Like you can choose to look at things a certain way and be defeated, or you can look at it and be like, what are other opportunities I can take from that? Like perfect example, like when you said COVID hit, you had to shut down the shop, but it kind of made you be still and like focus on your packaging and your product and tighten up another part of your business. So for anyone that's paying attention or listening and tuning in, I think that the biggest thing is your perception. You're in charge of that. You can change that and how you take things and see things.
I was just impressed by you steadfast through a lot, it seems like. And we was all kind of asking questions like to see when you got rattled, but it never happened. And honestly, that's what it says to me two things. Number one, you were a strong person, but number two, that faith in God is something different. Like the fact that you was never rattled through a lot of times where people aren't sure. Like, people have a whole bunch of gifts but don't believe in God, so they can't really express them or share them like they do. So you definitely taught me something. I know you taught the viewers something, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, he said a lot. I was actually going to say a lot of the same things.